The director of a funeral home has been sentenced to 20 years in jail for illegally selling body parts. 46-year-old Megan Hess has been sentenced for dissecting 560 bodies and selling remains without family consent. Her mum, 69-year-old Shirley Koch, has also been jailed for 15 years. She reportedly helped her daughter cut up the bodies.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video I drop. You guys are helping grow in the community. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Stay with me, y'all. Seek the truth.
This video proves that skinwalkers are real. In the Navajo Native American culture, skinwalkers are believed to be shape-shifting witches that take the form of animals. And as the legend goes, these creatures are dangerous spirits. Many people in North America have reported seeing these skinwalkers in real life, and there's even movies and TV shows about them. There are hundreds of videos online claiming to have caught a skinwalker on camera. However, this home security camera footage caught something very disturbing. The video at first appears to be pretty normal, just showing a family's backyard pool. But if you look closely to the right of their basketball hoop, it appears that some strange-looking creature is climbing the fence to their backyard. The creature looks to have a humanoid-like torso, head, and arms. And all it does is just climb up the fence and look around the backyard. If we take a closer look, we can see that the creature definitely appears to look like a human being. And just a few seconds later, the creature vanishes. Every time I say gorillas share 98% of our DNA, y'all either call me an idiot, an atheist, or a monkey. Well, I'm gonna prove it. With funny. This is Hauko the gorilla. You see, Hauko had a problem. He's a proud father of four who loves nothing more than to play with his children. Because it's actually scientifically proven that gorillas find the nurturing, child-raising males more attractive and not really the aggressive bully types. Hauko knows ball, but the problem was his baby mama wasn't always too eager to have the 500-pound silverback handle such a tiny baby. So in all of Hauko's infinite gorilla wisdom, he came up with a solution. He kidnapped her. Repeatedly. Really gonna tell me you don't see the 98, bro? You're trying to knock over the crate as a diversion. Also, I just want to point out all that movement, yet the baby remains still. That's perfect form. He's done this before. Hauko would do this with all his children, proving my scientific theory correct. This a game to him. I mean, just peep the 500 pounds of primate swerve in that corner. Whoa. And if you still don't believe the hype, Hauko also has a brother, Shabani, and Shabani has been trying to get the attention of his crush for years with no luck. So one day he decided to just go for it. And you're watching it happen. Gorilla or not, we've all been him at some point. Yo, I got a girl and I still be on this. I will say this though, it went a lot better than his first attempt. God bless you, Shabani. And fun fact, Shabani would go viral for boosting ticket sales because women genuinely found the gorilla attractive. No, I'm not kidding. They were calling him Gorilla George Clooney. No comment. And if you're still not convinced, I challenge you to watch this video and think otherwise. Please. The more you know.
Here's some news that will give you hope. This couple just shattered the world record for the longest marriage, celebrating 84 years together and still going strong. A blind 20-year-old cat named Tiki was stranded on a frozen lake in Massachusetts when the ice cracked beneath him. Two men working nearby jumped into a rowboat, broke through the ice with a shovel, and pulled him to safety just in time. A single mom working as a bartender in Houston got a $20,000 Christmas miracle when Post Malone surprised her with the massive tip on Christmas Eve. Veteran homelessness is at its lowest level ever, with just 32,000 veterans without housing, the fewest since tracking began in 2009. The murder hornet has officially been wiped out in the United States after first being spotted in Washington 5 years ago. A missing dog was found in Illinois after being lost for a week, finally spotted thanks to thermal technology on a drone. 1,200 goats have been hired to prevent wildfires in Colorado by eating overgrowth, reducing fire risk with their endless snacking. Where do I sign up? An entire town learned sign language to surprise their deaf neighbor, making communication easier for everyone. A man fishing in the middle of the night in South Africa reeled in something unexpected when his fishing line hooked onto a drowning woman's jeans, pulling her to safety from a deadly riptide.
What's the scariest urban legend from your
Whoa,
state?
that's
Today, Rhode Island. Freddy Fingernails is an urban legend that has been around since the mid-20th century, and some people speculate that it might have inspired Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street. This urban legend is from Cumberland, Rhode Island. As the legend goes, there was a man that lived with his family near a camp, and one evening, the children at this camp were dared to go to their house and set it on fire. Unfortunately, the family was home, and this would end in the loss of his wife and his children. Fred also was not spared from the pain. His face was badly burnt, and he was disfigured for the rest of his life. Now, there are two versions of this story. One version says that Fred, who was eventually given the name of Freddy Fingernails, hated the noise that came from this camp. So when the campers were loud, he would go to this camp and take the lives of the children that were making the noise. Another version of this legend goes that anytime you went into the woods and wound up on Freddy Fingernails' property, he would take your life. And the reason for the name Freddy Fingernails is because while he was out in the woods, his fingernails kept growing and growing and growing until they looked like claws. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Freddy Fingernails is real? Either way, don't make too much noise at camp because he might come get you. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments and follow for more creepy things.
I don't think it's real, man. Freddy Krueger. I remember, like I said, that movie Nightmare on Elm Street. That DVD, I remember one time seeing it when I was a kid. I was like, what the heck is that? It was scarring me for life, man. I know, man. I don't be checking out scary movies like that. It's interesting to hear the lore behind it, though. Probably came to be. You know what that is, man.
Disturbing facts that are guaranteed to freak you out.
Talk about it.
The United States military has lost at least 3 nuclear bombs, meaning that there are 3 nuclear bombs that have never been found. In Cameroon in 1986, a potential landslide produced a huge cloud of carbon dioxide to emit from a lake. And that cloud of CO2 ended up killing 1,700 people in their sleep. And lastly, this one is super gross, but it is possible for a human being to become so constipated that they begin throwing up feces.
This is a terrifying case. It's terrifying because it could happen to any of us. Welcome to Creep Time on TikTok with Silas Dean. This is the haunting story of the Watcher. On June of 2014, Derek and Maria Broaddus and their 3 children are moving into what they believe is their dream home. This house would later be known as the infamous 657 Boulevard. 3 days following the sale, an anonymous letter is received, signed The Watcher. The letter would describe intimate details about the family and claim to be from someone who was watching the house. The letter is brought to the police with the former homeowners, and they're instructed to keep everything quiet while the investigation is underway. 2 weeks would pass and a second letter is received detailing even more knowledge of the family. Chillingly, the letter is now describing things that are taking place inside the home. Things that you could only report seeing if you were watching through a window. The letter would describe details of watching their daughter paint from inside the house. The family would actually remove their children from the home and then worked for 2 years trying to sell it. But at this point, details of the case and rumors of the house had already circulated through the media, and the house was essentially unsellable. In 2016, they're finally able to find a buyer, but then another letter is received. This letter is vicious and threatening, even going as far as to threaten an accident that could happen to a family member. Despite security cameras, fingerprint samples, cold leads, police are never able to identify the Watcher, nor do they know if the Watcher is still watching 657 Boulevard.
And somebody bought the house.
This guy was kayaking with his family when a humpback whale swallowed him, and it was all caught on camera. Let me explain. This here is Del Simancas, and he and his son Aaron decide to do a little father-son bonding by going kayaking off the coast of Chile. Everything was going well, the weather was nice, and the water was calm, and they looked like they were having a pretty good time. That's when, quite literally out of the blue, a humpback whale surfaces and literally inhales Adrian and his kayak. Thankfully, after a few seconds, the whale spat him out and he resurfaced. And while all of this was going down, Del remained in a surprisingly calm state and recorded this all on his camera. In the footage, you can hear Del tell his son to stay calm. Hey! And Adrian manages to safely swim to his dad's kayak, and they both make it back in one piece. Now, after the incident, Adrian said that he didn't think he was going to make it. He thought the whale had swallowed him whole, and it was going after his dad next. But now he and his father have bravely decided to share the footage to show people that you can in fact survive getting swallowed by a whale.
If you live in the UK and have an iPhone, you're absolutely screwed. Apple has now announced that it will not offer UK users its advanced data protection tool anymore. This is extremely worrying. Let me explain. Make sure you share this video with anybody who has an iPhone, because trust me, you're going to need to see this. But advanced data protection, which Apple did offer worldwide, essentially an end-to-end encryption tool, so it made your data on your device extremely secure. Anything you stored in the iCloud, in your phone, anywhere, it was extremely secure. No one could see it, not even Apple. Of course, the UK government intervened with this. A couple of weeks ago, they demanded access to Apple users' encrypted data, essentially wanting to see everything that is on your phone in the background. Nothing's going to be private anymore. Apple basically said this is mad, but just completely stopped that data protection in the UK. Wouldn't just hand over all your data to the government either. But there's still a lot of areas in your phone that are completely end-to-end encrypted. No one will be able to see that, so don't worry. But at the same time, the government will probably be able to access certain things, and it's also going to make it slightly easier for hackers to get into. So make sure you have strong passwords, change your passwords regularly, so just stay safe, and I'll keep you updated.
No words. You know what this is, man. Found the keys in there? You know, Elon Musk is known for having a whole bunch of
Mohammed, right? How do you know that he wasn't the one behind the Twin Towers? He tried to do the Twin Towers, bro. There was a lot of Mohammeds that were in the Twin Towers.
And this is why I said that Ash Trevino is evil. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me break it down for you. Ash was on live with a woman named Zara. Her father was unalived by Ash's ex-husband, Isaiah. Zara's father was Mohammed Hashimi, and he was 50 years old when he was unalived by Ash's ex-husband, Isaiah, and 3 other men. Mohammed's life was taken while he was trying to deposit money into the bank, and Isaiah and these 3 other men basically stole his money and dumped his body and fled. She defended Isaiah and said that this woman's father deserved to. This man's life was savagely taken, and he left behind his wife and 7 kids. The fact that she went on live and told the victim's daughter that her father deserved to die. Not only that, but to say that he was involved in the 9/11 attack because of his name. Apparently Ash was drunk, but that's not an excuse. Either way, she said some very foul and disgusting things to this woman. Anyone who goes and watches her lives after this and supports her, shame on you.
Here is some news that will give you hope. A 94-year-old grandma who spent her entire life in Ohio is finally seeing the world after getting her first passport at 91, already traveling to Africa and Antarctica with her grandson. An Apple Watch saved 3 skiers who fell over 1,000 feet in Washington state, automatically sending an emergency alert that led to a dramatic helicopter rescue. A storage unit in California held a hidden treasure found by a local highway officer. 12 unreleased Michael Jackson songs recorded between 1989 and 1991. It featured behind-the-scenes creative sessions with Michael and his producer, but may unfortunately never be released due to the estate restrictions from the Jackson family. Teen drug use has hit an all-time low. row, with post-pandemic high schoolers using fewer substances than ever, and we really don't know why fully yet. An 8-year-old boy named Zayn traded his skateboard to save a feral kitten from being harmed by other kids in his neighborhood. He named the cat Peaches, and after hearing his story, Zoomies rewarded him with a fully customized skateboard. A man in Virginia celebrated his wife's 40th birthday by paying for 40 pet adoptions, giving dozens of animals a second chance at life. Portland is paying homeless residents to clean up trash and have already collected over £1 million while helping people get back on their feet.
A director of a funeral home has been sentenced to 20 years in jail for illegally selling body parts. 46-year-old Megan Hess has been sentenced for dissecting 560 bodies and selling remains without family consent. Her mum, 69-year-old Shirley Koch, has also been jailed for 15 years. She reportedly helped her daughter cut up the bodies. These horrific acts are said to have been motivated by pure greed and desire to make money off the deceased. An FBI Denver special agent has said the following: "Without knowledge or consent, the women disrespected the wishes of the grieving victims and degraded the bodies of their family members to sell them for profit. These two criminals continued their atrocities for years, showing no remorse or contrition even after they were exposed." Not only is it horrific what these women did to the victims and the loved ones, they were also shipping bodies and body parts from people carrying infectious diseases. Some of the bodies were infected with Hep B and C and even HIV, even though the women had claimed to buyers that they were disease-free. Shirley told the FBI, "She was the business part of it, I was really the labor part."
This woman received...
I imagine we can find out your loved one, man, deceased. This woman selling their body parts, man, for money, bro. Money is the root of all evil, man. I said that before, I'll say that again. When money's involved, people's logic and thing goes out the window, man. All they thinking about is how to make that quick buck.
Mysterious calls for months before something terrible happened. In 1980, Dorothy Jane Scott began receiving threatening calls from an unidentified man. It got so bad she started taking karate classes and contemplated buying a gun. Then on May 28, 1980, coworkers witnessed her car recklessly speeding out of a parking lot. The next day, her car was found burning in an alleyway with no one inside. Then a week after her disappearance, her parents began receiving mysterious phone calls from a man that were too short to be traced. They got a phone call almost every Wednesday afternoon. This went on for 4 years, until Dorothy's skeletal remains were found buried along with the bones of a dog. After her remains were recovered, her parents received one last phone call from a man who said, "Is Dorothy home?"
Evil individual, man. So many in that family for 4 years. They couldn't track him down. She deserves justice. Plain and simple.
This British nana is currently sat on Bali's death row. I'm Trickham Caitlin, and this is Lindsay Sandyford. On the 19th of May 2012, 56-year-old Lindsay had flown from Bangkok to Bali, where she was arrested on arrival at the airport. During a routine search of the luggage, £1.6 million worth of cocaine was found within the lining of Lindsay's suitcase. She had been coerced into smuggling the drugs by a British antique seller and his wife. Lindsay cooperated with the police, aiding them in helping track down the traffickers. At her trial, due to her cooperation, the prosecution requested a 15-year sentence. However, she was shown no mercy and no leniency and was sentenced to death by firing squad. She would be sent to one of Indonesia's roughest prisons, Bali Kerabokan prison. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. During her time in prison, Lindsay has been quite reserved, not really mixing with the other prisoners. However, she would eventually become a grandmother figure to them. She hosts a knitting group where she teaches the other prisoners how to knit. She teaches some of the other girls life lessons. She has special privileges such as a mattress, and she is able to order steak from the canteen, which she does so once a week, ordering it medium rare. In Indonesia, when someone is executed by a firing squad, they are given the option to either stand or sit while they're being shot at, and if the soldiers who are shooting at the prisoner don't kill them, a commander will approach the prisoner and then shoot them in the head. Lindsay does have a glimmer of hope to evade this fate. Due to new laws, there is a chance that Lindsay's death penalty sentence can be taken down to a life imprisonment sentence due to her good behaviour throughout her 11-year incarceration. If her sentence is reduced, there is a possibility that she could be brought back to the UK, where she will eventually be freed.
Let's take a look at one of the most interesting and terrifying unsolved cases in history, the Somerton Man. In 1948, in the dead of winter, the body of a middle-aged man was discovered lying on a beach in southern Australia. While this on its own would not have been enough to make international headlines, the circumstances of his death, along with the items in his possession, would go on to perplex law enforcement officials around the world. First, the man had no ID, and despite being very well dressed, all of the tags had been removed from his clothing, making him nearly impossible to identify at a glance. He had wounds that were typically found in poison victims. The only problem was no poison was ever found in his body, which was said to be in peak physical condition. But the greatest mystery related to this man wasn't found in his body, it was found in his suit jacket. In a hidden pocket in the jacket, investigators found a scrap of paper containing the words Tamam Shud, which means it is finished in Persian. The paper was ripped out of a book known as the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Later, a copy would be found that matched that page. It contained a secret code which still remains uncracked to this day. Because of this, and the fact that the case occurred during the 1940s, many people suspect that the Somerton Man was actually a Soviet spy, but nobody can say for sure, and the case remains a perplexing mystery to this day. Comment if you think this case will one day be solved, and follow for more.
I don't think so. 1940? It's a very slim chance. I wonder do people still try to solve cases like way back in the day? I guess just to get the family's closures.
Last month, 3 suitcases were discovered in Florida with human remains inside, and now a man has been arrested for his wife's murder. On July 21st, police in Delray Beach, Florida found a suitcase in the intercoastal waterway after someone called 911 to report something strange they saw in the waterway. This discovery, police found 2 more suitcases nearby, and the next day found 2 additional bags. Inside the suitcases and bags were human remains of a woman only described at the time as, quote, a white or Hispanic middle-aged woman with brown hair, approximately 5'4". The investigation into these suitcases led police to surveillance footage that then led them to a suspect. Multiple witnesses told detectives about a vehicle and person who was seen in the area multiple times before the suitcases were found. A couple who lived near where the suitcases were discovered told detectives they saw a white male looking into the intercoastal waterway several days before July 21st, the day the suitcase was found. They said he appeared to be looking for something, presumably the suitcase, and they saw him 5 to 6 times over a 3-day period before the 21st. When confronted by the couple, the man said he was waiting for the big boat to come into the harbor. Another group of witnesses who were working on a roof at a property next to where the 3rd suitcase was found said that they saw the same man standing on the seawall looking at the suitcase before he got into his car and left. Video surveillance in the area captured a vehicle tag that led them to their suspect, Delray Beach resident William Lowe, and he had a wife that matched the name that came back from an airline scan code on one of the suitcases. Adil Barroso Fontes matched the brief description of the remains found in the suitcase, and she shared the same address as Lowe. This led police to acquire a search warrant for the home of 78-year-old Lowe. In searching his home, police found blood spatter throughout the residence, including in the living room, dining room, and primary bathroom. There were also drag marks observed throughout the home, and cleaning supplies that contained blood splatter were found as well. While they were executing the search warrant, detectives said that Lowe attempted to re-enter through the back window, and when he was stopped, he just said he was trying to get his phone and the keys to his storage unit.
Cap.
A search of that storage unit uncovered a chainsaw that appeared to have blood and human hair on it. After all of this, Lowe was arrested on July 31st. During questioning, he reportedly said that his wife Adel had been in Brazil for about 3 weeks. But when questioned further about her trip, he did not know how she got to the airport, what airline she flew on, or the last time he spoke to her. When shown photos of the suitcases, Lowe reportedly said he had never seen them before. But police knew at least one of them belonged to his wife because of the airline tag that had her name connected to it. And when they asked Lowe about this, he just said, "I don't know." Day after Lowe's arrest, the victim found in the suitcases was positively identified through dental records as Adel Barbosa Fontes. ME declared the manner of death to be homicide and the cause of death to be a gunshot wound to the head. The next day, Lowe was charged with first-degree murder and abuse of a dead body. He was denied bail and he has not yet entered a plea, so he remains in prison until his next hearing. Hopefully, he will have to pay for what he did. Rest in peace, Adel.
While this creature is about the size of a teddy bear and has big, adorable eyes, experts say to stay away from a slow loris at all costs. If you even attempt to pick it up and hold it, it will most likely feel threatened and try to bite you. And their bites are filled with a fast-acting poison, so it's best to just admire its cuteness from far away. Seals may look adorable swimming and splashing in the water, but these guys are not to be messed with, especially if they're leopard seals.
Ooh.
Leopard seals are known to be extremely aggressive and have been reported to attack researchers if they get too close to them. And even though their bites might not be enough to kill you, they can still leave you with permanent damage. Swans are seen as one of the most beautiful animals, but if you ever see one swimming around in a lake, don't even think about feeding them. Just like other wild animals, swans will assume that humans are threats, and if you try to feed them, they'll just get closer to you until it tries to bite you. Most people see dolphins as one of the friendliest creatures that everyone wants to swim with, but the only people that should be swimming with them are professionals. Wild dolphins have an instinct to attack without a clear purpose, so if you plan to get in the water with them, it's best to swim at a nice distance, because you'll never know what state they're in.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. A 20-year-old gang member was dying of primary liver cancer. In his last days, hours, and moments, he was angry. The family called the hospice nurse into the room and told her that they thought he was going. He wasn't responding, his eyes were glossy, his skin was cold, the end was imminent. His lovely mother whispered to him to go towards the light, to her Jesus. He opened his eyes, looked at her, and said, "F your Jesus." A second or two later, he slowly turned his head to the left and got the most horrific look on his face, as if he was looking at something that they couldn't see. And horrified, his face contorted, and he screamed with his last breath, eyes wide, "Oh sh*! Oh sh*! Oh no!" Then he made a guttural noise and promptly fell back into the bed and died. Every family member was shaking and too frightened to speak. The hospice nurse left the room and took 2 days off. She said she doesn't care if she never finds out what he saw.
What did he see, Seekers?
AI art is not something that's terribly new, but have you heard about the woman that is haunting AI pictures? Sees the face, and nobody can explain why she keeps showing up in AI images. If you look at her, she's not really general. I mean, there are specific characteristics here that are consistent. Again, nobody knows which prompts are generating this woman. Nobody knows why her face continues to appear in different models. So this has opened up one of my favorite questions about the idea that AI pictures can be haunted. And don't forget, if things like this are of interest to you, make sure to go check out the podcast.
Dirty facts about history.
Damn, what do you guys think, bro? We know AI, man, that technology, it keeps getting more advanced. So could that have been a glitch, or was somebody doing that on purpose? Or was it really just haunted, bro? AI is going in. It's not like we can control it, we can regulate it, but it's getting too advanced for my taste.
That school probably didn't teach you. In the 1400s, prostitutes wore wigs on their lady parts with fake pubic hair to prevent lice and cover up any syphilis sores before doing the dirty. An intern at NASA once stole a safe full of moon rocks, sprinkled them on a hotel bed, and proceeded to have sex with his girlfriend on top of them. Man was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for getting his rocks off. Raphael, the Italian Renaissance artist, not the Ninja Turtle, died of exhaustion from non-stop sex. In other words, he boned till he croaked. A common hairstyle in 17th century Europe was the Polish plait. A gross, smelly mass of crusty, matted hair cemented together by pus, nits, and dirt.
The hairstyle was believed to have healing properties and could supposedly protect people from illnesses. During the Iron Age in Ireland, a new king would be crowned in a ceremony in which he penetrated a horse in front of an audience. The horse would then be eaten for dinner by everyone who just witnessed them doing the dirty.
Hell no. I don't know what type of rituals and stuff they was doing back in the day, but that ain't it. What the hell? Edit. Call him out.
There was only one child when this photo was taken. Let's enhance it with sharp AI. Murr and Mrs. Colton were taking a picture of their daughter. When they developed it, they were shocked to see their older daughter, Anne, who had to 3D only months prior in an accident. The other child seems to be sensing a presence, but after this picture was taken, they never saw Anne again.
How the hell did AI know that? It's getting too advanced. I'm
Did
telling
you know
y'all.
that there is a mummy in Sicily that blinks? Yes, she blinks. This is Rosalie Lombardo, who died of pneumonia in the 1920s at the age of 2 years old. Rosalie is perfectly preserved, from her external features to her internal organs, but that's not the strangest part. Her eyes are still as blue and flawless as the day that she passed away. She simply looks like a child taking a nap. But this child tends to open her eyes and close them randomly, like she's blinking away the cobwebs. People have come to see her for hundreds of years, and every time, visitors will leave and say, "That dead girl is blinking." What do you think it is?
How the hell is she blinking? We seen by the clips that we reviewed together how sometimes, you know, like even the body after it passes, it goes on, like it still does, like, I guess, weird things because of build up gas and things and stuff like that. But to be blinking, I've never heard that before. I need you guys' theories on that one.
I bet you don't know how false teeth were originally made. In the very beginning, most sets were made of animal teeth. These proved to be uncomfortable and ineffective. So that's when they started venturing into using human teeth in dentures. In the 1700s is when sugar became widely available across Europe, and sugar started to cause the teeth to decay way more rapidly. It wasn't uncommon for a peasant to remove their own tooth and sell it for a quick buck. There was also an issue with grave robbing to obtain teeth. Of course, neither of those were needed when Waterloo teeth became a thing. With over 50,000 young men lost at the Battle of Waterloo, suddenly they realized they had an overabundance of teeth. So it wasn't uncommon at all for someone to be wearing the teeth of a soldier.
People were stealing teeth back in the day. The more you know.
Is this the one that allegedly appears in the cemetery at night? Yes, it is. So this right here is Fabiola Rodriguez's grave site, and in August of 2020, her mom noticed that certain things were going missing, like toys and personal belongings from the site. A grave nearby this one, they have a camera attached to it because somebody had been vandalizing their son's grave. So anyway, these people notice this on their camera footage and go to the cemetery owners who say, "We know who that is." So they get her contact information and introduce themselves to her and say, "Hey, we have something really beautiful to show you that we caught on our camera." And her mom just broke down into tears because she was like, "That is my baby. I know it is. That is my baby." It also captured her walking away with what appears to be a man. And her mom, Sandra, said, "I think she was there to take him to heaven." They both have a tragic story of things that happened to them. And I mean, both of them still haven't gotten justice. So I think she was there to comfort him and take him to heaven. But yeah, I mean, isn't that just amazing?
The camera caught it. And she said it was her baby, so I'll take her. We're gonna have to check up on that one. Mysterious.
This is the scary story about the mom. One night, there was a 6-year-old girl who woke up in the middle of the night to her mom standing over her bed, staring down at her with a creepy smile on her face. The girl knew something was wrong, but she couldn't put her finger on it. The girl then said, "Mom." "Yes," she replied. "What are you doing?" the girl asked. "Watching you sleep," she said. "Why?" said the girl. The mom didn't say anything and kept staring at her, smiling. They each didn't say a word to each other for minutes, but still keeping eye contact with each other. Then the mom began to walk backwards, still staring at the girl with that creepy smile, and then went into the girl's closet and shut the door. The girl then got up and ran to her mom's bedroom and saw her mom asleep in her bed.
Why was the mom staring over
Deadliest
her?
disasters in human history.
Oh.
Part 1. In 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger broke apart 73 seconds into its flight, killing all 7 crew members aboard. The astronauts actually lived through the initial explosion and survived for nearly 3 minutes before they died on impact with the water. In 1184, a group of nobles gathered in a room in the Church of St. Peter above the latrine pit of the monks. All of a sudden, the floor collapsed due to their combined weight, causing 60 nobles to fall to their death into a pool of poop and sewage. In 1893, gifts were being passed out at a magic show in Victoria Hall. Over 1,000 kids tried to force themselves down a narrow staircase that led to a single door that opened inward. Only one child at a time could pass through, causing 183 children to be crushed to death.
Man, what the hell? All over some damn toys. These, man, like I said, when we read these clips together, bro, it's always bothering my mind, man. We learning new things every single day. Tap in with us.
Animals that became serial killers, Part 2. The sloth bear of Mysore. In 1957, the sloth bear of Mysore mauled over 30 humans and took the lives of 12. The sloth bear's killing spree didn't stop, and the bear just had a desire for killing. The killer sloth bear went missing in late 1957, after the killings took place. What do you think ever happened to the sloth bear of Mysore?
Whoa. Did they, like, hunt for it or try to take it down, or they just let it roam?
In California, when their son began to say something very creepy.
On a family vacation that took a strange turn. He visited the same area where a missing woman was last seen.
He said that there was a woman staring at him in the field nearby.
Got goosebumps. He said she needs our help, but she's dead, and she's laying face down with her legs up. She can't talk to me, but she's over there. We need to go help her.
Freaked out by this, both of his parents went to go check the surrounding area, but found nothing.
He said she has a black shirt, blue jeans, and blue hair, Mom. He kept saying, trust me, Mom.
After arriving home, Victoria posts about the experience to Facebook, and not long after she does so, the police came knocking at her door with photos of a woman named Sandra Johnson Hughes. She had gone missing in the exact same location 1 year prior. Authorities would then proceed to exhaust their efforts, searching the area over the next few days. Sadly, they would find nothing. If what this little boy was saying was true, experts believe that any evidence of her remains would be long gone by now. Could Caden have actually seen the ghost of this woman, or is his description merely a coincidence? What do you believe?
Black shirt and blue hair. He describes down to blue hair, said she has a black shirt, blue jeans, and blue hair, Mom.
Aiden was able to identify 3 out of 4 pictures of her. Detectives went back to the meadow with the Gorba family to investigate, but the case remains open.
That is insane. How he nailed like that description. He must. Whoa, that's really mind blowing. You guys really think you saw something? This world, man.
Terrifying animals who are glad are extinct. Number 1, the Megalodon shark. This animal can grow to about 60 feet long, and one tooth is said to be the size of a human.
Damn.
They were meat-eating creatures that could kill and destroy just about anything. If they were still around today, oceans would be off limits. Number 2, the Titanoboa. This snake weighed about 2,000 pounds but was also 40 feet long. The snakes killed their prey with constrictions, meaning they would suffocate them to death. Number 3, the Caprosuchus. Just imagine if a T-Rex and a crocodile had a baby. This animal looks like a crocodile, but it has very long legs and can run very fast. The Caprosuchus could run as fast as 40 kilometers per hour. For context, the average male human runs at just 13 kilometers per hour. For more,
morbid facts that will give you nightmares. When a prisoner is electrocuted in an electric chair, They can feel absolutely everything. They are fully aware that their body is being fried in real time, and one prisoner that survived said he actually smelled and tasted like cold peanut butter. Human corpses decompose 4 times faster in water than underground, and 8 times faster if left in the open air. It takes around 359 humans to have enough iron to forge a sword from their blood. Just about 3,000 people go missing every single year in the US. The last execution by guillotine was in 1977 in France. That was exactly the same year that the first Star Wars movie came out.
Insane to think about that last fact.
These are animals that used to be giants, part 1. Up first are bears. And yes, we all know bears are still pretty big and dangerous, but nothing is compared to what bears used to look like. So you see this mountain, and you see how it looks like it has a bunch of claw marks up and down it? Well, that's because it does. This mountain is called Devil's Tower, and there's a very disturbing story behind it. The scratches on this mountain are actually from a giant bear's claws. The bear always tried to reach the top, but it never could. This story has been passed on to generations of Native American tribes, and just imagine coming in contact with a bear this big.
What the hell? Seekers, you guys believe that one? A bear that big, man, was trying to crawl up that mountain? They said that story's been passed down for generations, so... I couldn't even imagine seeing a bear like that. The whole ecosystem would be different.
This picture has in common. There might be a lot of people who don't know this, but they were a part of the original case that inspired the film Scream. It was 1990, Gainesville, Florida, at the University of Florida, where a string of horrific crimes took place, and it involved those students. And when I think of almost every victim involved, Krista's story is definitely one of the most chilling, as her body was first found, but her head was found separately on her dresser. Were all these suspicions, and eventually some circumstantial evidence would put this kid behind bars, especially because he looked the part. The problem here is that he wasn't the guy. This was like a 72-hour period where it was just back-to-back slayings, till eventually they found their culprit, who was camping out in the woods outside of the university and was recording himself singing songs about what he had done. And if you want additional details on this, we covered a whole episode getting into the back.
I never knew Scream was based off that. I'm telling you, man, these media pieces, they be based on true stories. We just don't know the real backstory behind it, man. Another one. Exposed.
We figured, look, if we can remake perfect copies of these Parthenon sculptures, the visitors will have the same experience when they come to the British Museum. They'll see these amazing statues, they'll understand the aesthetics of antiquity, the Greeks would have their treasured objects back, and everybody would be happy. That was the plan. The British Museum decided they would take a very strong position against the project. So of course we did it anyway. And we did it guerrilla style, because we read the regulations for the museum. It says specifically, visitors may use 3D scanning equipment in the museum, and they may use the product of those 3D scans for any non-commercial purpose. Boom, we're done. So we went in guerrilla style and made scans of all the Parthenon sculptures.
I mean, so what's the pitch? Why should the British Museum have the copies, not the originals?
The Parthenon sculptures in their current state teach people absolutely nothing. In fact, they misinform people about the aesthetics of antiquity. These things were brightly painted with skin tones and garish colors. So the British Museum could take these copies, and not only could they display them in exactly the same form in which they're being displayed now, they would also have the capacity to restore them to the condition they were in when they were on the Parthenon, so people can really understand what the aesthetics of the ancient world were like, and to see them in their full glory.
Today's true crime story is pretty...
Yeah, so why did the British Museum, why did they want the real ones instead of, I guess, the replicas that they were making? That's the question we need to really be asking.
Pretty chilling, okay? This one even scared me, right? But anyways, this has some very disturbing and graphic details. Viewer discretion is advised. In the early 1900s in Bavaria, Germany, the group of family lived in this farmhouse called the Hinterkaifeck. The family consisted of husband and wife Andreas and Kazilia, their widowed daughter Victoria, and Victoria kids Joseph and Kazilia. The family noticed a lot of strange things going on around the house. Andreas noticed a set of keys that were missing, and also there were footprints in the snow leading from the woods to the house, but there was never no footprints ever leaving the house. There was also a newspaper in the house that Andreas never remembered buying, and it looked as if someone was trying to pick at the lock on the shed. While all these strange things were going on, they had a maid at the time, and the maid was like, look, I gotta quit. This house is haunted. The family kept hearing noises in the attic, and the maid just like, look, I can't be here anymore. The noises in the attic, all the stuff going on around here, I can't do it.
She's smart.
Although strange things continue to happen in the house, the family ends up hiring a new maid named Marie. What the Gruber family did not know was that those strange things would lead to their murder. On the evening of March 31st, 1922, the Gruber family was murdered. Victoria's son Joseph was killed in his crib, and Maria was killed in her bed. What's so crazy about this is that same day, March 31st, 1922, that was the same day that the maid Maria was hired. Meanwhile, the rest of the Gruber family was found murdered in the barn, and they were stacked on top of each other. When people in the town didn't see the family for days, they grew concerned, and the police came to the house, and then that's when they discovered all the bodies. All the victims were killed by a pickaxe, but the police were so puzzled about something. The family wasn't found until 6 days later, but it seemed like someone had made themselves at home. Police noticed that food was being eaten, the animals were being fed, someone was sleeping in the beds, sitting on the furniture, things like that. For years, the police were looking for the suspect or suspects, but they couldn't find anybody. So the case was closed in 1955, and the year after the murders, the whole farmhouse was demolished. To me, I feel like someone was able to sneak into the house without the family's knowledge and was living in the attic for months. That's what I think. Alright, y'all, that's it, and I'll be back to do more true crime videos for you guys.
Heard cases about that before, people being in the places and they don't know.
In 2018, both of these women were found decapitated in Morocco. And trigger warning, this story is extremely disturbing. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this story takes us to Morocco, but specifically to the Atlas Mountain. And the two victims were Louisa Jespersen, who was 24 years old from Denmark, and her friend Maren Uland, who was 28 years old from Norway. And in December of 2018, both of the women had decided to go on a month-long camping trip in the mountains. And both of the women had also been studying outdoor activities at the University of Southeastern Norway. They were also apparently roommates, and they were training to become guides. Now, it's believed that both of the women were being targeted by the men that ended up attacking them. Not only were they targeted, they were also observed for multiple days before the entire thing happened. And on December 17th, both of their bodies were found beheaded inside of their tents by another hiker. Shortly after that, there was a video that went viral on the dark web that supposedly showed one of the beheadings. And even though you could dig deep enough to find this video, I really don't recommend watching it. Just reading the comments alone about the video and what it shows are extremely disturbing. But I'll describe it for you guys in the least graphic way possible. Now, the video is quite short, but it begins with one of the women being filmed on what appears to be a cell phone. At first, she's being filmed while she's lying down on her stomach. And you can see one of the perpetrators trying to cut her head from the back. When the perpetrator realizes that this was not going to work, he then turns her around so she's facing up. He then puts his foot on her face, kind of locking her into place on the ground, and proceeds to decapitate her. And apparently all you can hear in the video is her screaming for her life as she asks and begs for her mother. Eventually, authorities were able to find their main suspects, which were these three men here. And the three men were known for having pledged their allegiance to ISIS. And the reason for them doing this to these two innocent women was because they believed that they were enemies to their God. And then in July of 2019, the three men were found guilty and were given a death sentence. And although one of the men did take the easy way out and took his own life, the other two are still waiting for their sentence to be executed.
You didn't know. Part 1. When you go down or drop on a roller coaster and you suddenly feel your stomach drop, it's not just you feeling nervous. What you're actually feeling are your organs moving. Follow for the next fact.
Interesting.
Creepy facts that will keep you up at night. Part 1. 99% of all species to ever live have gone extinct. 1 in 3 murders go unsolved in the United States. Human heads remain conscious after decapitation for 20 seconds. Babies grow a moustache in the womb and eat it. Your bed gets heavier from mites, dust, and dirt.
Change those bed sheets, y'all.
This will make you never want to go into space. A man named Michael was alone in space with no other humans for thousands of miles. But then he heard static coming from his radio, and Michael had a gut-wrenching feeling. Hello, this is Michael Stanton of the Rising Dawn. Do you read me? Over. A breathless voice then replied, Thank God. I didn't know how much longer I could survive out here. What's going on? Where are you communicating from? The voice then said back, I'm right outside your ship, Stanton. Open the hatch door and let me in. Michael's heart rate quickened. He found the strength to turn off the radio, and then he heard it. Let me in, the voice repeated, but it wasn't like before. It sounded demonic, and Michael never opened the door. Everyone back home told him he could not have possibly heard those sounds in a space vacuum, but Michael still knew that thing was still out there.
Was the alien trying to get on board, bro? You was smart.
It's just a cigarette, and you cannot be that bad. Honey, don't you love me, and you know it makes me sad. It's just a cigarette, like you always used to do. I was different then, I don't need them to be cool.
Did y'all see that freaking mushroom, bro? I don't know if that's an edit or was that like a real mushroom that really grew to that size. What do you guys think? I don't know about that one, bro. You know, people be trying to do shrooms and crap.
10 animals that kill the most humans. Lions kill 200 people a year. Hippos kill 500 people a year. Elephants kill 600 people a year. Crocodiles kill 1,000 people a year. Scorpions kill 3,300 people a year.
If you were ever walking alone at night, be careful of it. Have you ever heard your name being whispered and you turned around and found that nobody was there? That could have been this creature called Siren Head. Siren Head lures its victims by calling out their name, and when the person finds the source of the sound, it's too late. Look, I used to not believe in any of this stuff, but I've had a lot of supernatural occurrences in the last year, such as walking down the street in the middle of the night and having every single lamppost burn out as I walked past it. Look, I don't know if this is real or not, but always bring a friend when you go on a walk at night. Be safe and follow if you want more creepy and incredibly true stories.
Beware of Siren Head, bro. That never happened to me, bro.
Normal-looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Part 28. While this appears to be a book with typical wear and tear, the damage at the bottom is from a bullet hole. The math book belongs to 10-year-old Uzziah Garcia, who along with 18 other students died in the Robb Elementary School shooting that occurred just a few months ago. This mirror selfie shows Giovanni Becerra, a Brazilian anesthetist, who was arrested after assaulting a pregnant woman during her C-section. He heavily sedated her and placed his private part in her mouth for 10 minutes, and is seen in a hidden camera wiping her face with gauze after he was done. This photo shows a group of US airmen who were taken as prisoners of war by Japanese soldiers in 1945. 8 of the 11 men were dissected while they were still alive, and the 3 others were placed in custody. This photo shows Michael and Susan Kuhnhausen after being married for 18 years. In 2006, Michael hired a hitman to kill his wife. However, Susan choked the man with her bare hands, saying, "Tell me who sent you here, and I'll call you an ambulance."
Okay, that freaking doctor story was disturbing. That last one, man. She was a fighter. How did she do that to a professional hitman, bro? Never know what you're capable of. Did she call the ambulance for him, though?
Urban legends that ended up being real, part 10. Nightwalker. It is a bizarre, otherworldly creature captured by security footage in Fresno, California in the late 2000s. A homeowner noticed strange leg-like creatures appearing in his yard, moving in a smooth, almost gliding motion. When he checked his security footage, he was shocked to see what looked like a pair of long, thin legs with a small head gliding across his yard, without any torso or arms. The creatures, now known as Nightwalkers, quickly became an internet sensation, with many questioning whether they were aliens, ghosts, or something entirely unexplained. The video shows these strange, almost puppet-like figures moving in a way that appears unnatural, as if they're floating just above ground. A similar video surfaced a few years later in a national park, showing nearly identical creatures moving through a wooded area. To this day, no one has been able to explain exactly what the Fresno Nightwalkers are, and the footage remains one of the most mysterious pieces of evidence in history. If you have the guts, follow for the next urban legend.
Yo, what's up? Here's some
Call a
scary
cap on
facts
that.
about our world that you probably didn't want to know. Part 11. Every time you blink, another person in the world dies. And there's actually a website that shows you how many people die in a minute or in a day, how many babies are born, etc., etc. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. For the longest time, toddlers' adult teeth are actually located under their eyes. Imagine they broke through the skin, they would look like some kind of freakish baby zombie monster or something. Dogs can actually smell and map out diseases. Now we already know how strong a sense of smell is in a dog, and if you were placed in a line and you were the one infected, there's a very high chance that the dog would come sniffing at you. And if your dog's already doing that, then you might want to call the doc. There's actually a place in Antarctica called Blood Falls where it looks as if blood is flowing or spewing out of the side of an iceberg. Kind of looks like a crime scene to me, but we won't tell anybody. And lastly, there was once a woman who was blinded by a bad accident, and she developed multiple personalities, some in which she could actually see. You heard me say she was blind, right?
It sounds like some freaking comic book.
Here are some of the scariest things that have happened on live TV. On August 19th, 1987, American writer David Horowitz was invited to KNBC to do a segment. While he was being introduced, a man named Gary Stolman appeared on set and pointed a gun at David's back. He was let into the studio after falsely stating that he was a guest of one of the hosts. He demanded that David read a statement that Gary had written, claiming that his dad was a CIA clone.
When I began receiving disturbing calls from my parents, which led me to believe that something terrible was going on.
After the statement was fully read, Gary put the weapon down on the table and was apprehended. It was later found out that the weapon Gary used was an unloaded BB gun, and he stated he never intended to hurt anyone.
You need to update security.
Start making really big, scary things and putting them in water like this. This is part 77 of some of the worst stomach-phobia things I've ever seen. Now, we've already talked about the German version of this statue, but this one is actually in Alabama, and I hate it. It is absolutely massive. Of course it is. Why wouldn't they be? And she is chilling in water. It is just the head and the knees. You can get on your boat and go and visit her, and could you imagine falling in with this? No. Of course, she is absolutely massive. Check her out compared to these humans. This is her being transported. Can you imagine driving next to this? I wouldn't even be able to drive next to this, much less see it in the frickin' water. This is her when she was being sculpted. God, just to think about something that absolutely massive just chilling in water. Why do people do that? Legitimately, why the frick do they do this? She was actually damaged during a hurricane, Hurricane Sally, long ass time ago. But she got a makeover, so she's rocking red hair and some really pretty lipstick. Still hate her though. But yeah, would you go check out this roadside attraction? I'll pass.
Nah, not me. It ain't for me, bro. Like I said, imagine falling in the water and seeing that. Be scared out your mind. That's obviously wrong. We in 2025, baby.
You are the only person alive on Earth right now. It's called the egg theory, and what I'm about to tell you will blow your mind. So the theory goes that you are actually the only person alive right now. The only consciousness that actually exists. Everyone else is just a figment of your imagination. Your family, friends, strangers you meet on the street, all because your mind doesn't want to feel alone. But this is the scary part about this theory. Since you are the only true consciousness, you'll live every possible life there is and ever will be. So you'll be reincarnated and reborn billions and billions of times until you lived every single individual's life. And then you'll be able to hatch this egg and become a god. That's the theory. You see, the theory goes that the entire universe was created as an egg for the main character, which is you. And once you have lived every human life ever, you will be born as a god. The reason God created the universe was for the main character to understand this point. Every time you victimize someone, you were victimizing yourself. So be kind to people and you're being kind to yourself. And no lie, it sounds horrible, but you wouldn't know if you lived billions of lives already. You probably already lived over 1 billion, and you just don't remember it. You probably lived your mom's life, your cousin, the stranger across the street, the blind man you walked past sitting on a bench today. So in actuality, you're me and I'm you. You're the person in the hospital right now with an unknown disease, or the lady at the store right now buying apples. So every single person you know and ever will know was you.
Most people is
the egg theory, bro. They got my mind twisted and turning, bro. I've heard the term, man, like, yeah, the main character in your life, or like main character syndrome, but that just put it in a different perspective. You guys believe that, man?
Sue, that the different colored olives they find at their local delicatessen represent different varieties. However, the primary difference between green and purple olives is simply the point at which they are harvested.
Green olives are picked before they are ripe, while purple olives are allowed to ripen on the tree. Raw olives are naturally very bitter and must be soaked in a solution containing lye and then fermented in brine for 6 to 12 months before becoming palatable. The longer olives are fermented, the less bitter and the more flavorful they become.
Canned olives are sort of like maraschino cherries. Most are artificially colored, unholy aberrations of nature.
The average lifespan of an olive tree is between 300 and 600 years, though many live well into their thousands. The oldest olive tree in the world is on the island of Crete. It is purported to be approximately 4,000 years old and is still producing fruit. A single olive tree
Keep
can
going.
produce up to 20 gallons of olive oil per year.
Stay curious, my friends.
We will. That's why we watch these clips together with you guys.
This mother listened as her daughter was mauled by a bear. On August 2011, a 19-year-old Olga Moskolyova went fishing with her stepfather at a river in the village of far eastern Siberia. This area is known for its significant bear population and it's home to one of the largest brown bears in the world. On this day, Olga called her mother and told her that she was being eaten by a bear. At first, she thought her daughter was joking, but then she heard the bears growling and chewing and she realized that this was real. Her mother then called her husband, which is Olga's stepfather, but little did she know he was already deceased. The story is that they were done fishing and were on their way back when they realized that they forgot something. So they walked back to the river and came face to face with a brown bear and her cubs. Olga's stepfather was attacked first and Olga tried to run away, but the bear caught up to her. While Olga's stepfather was already deceased, the bear came back several times to attack Olga until she was dead. But during the attack, Olga was able to call her mother 3 times, and during this call, she told her that she was being eaten by the bear and her cubs. She then ended the conversation by telling her mother that she loved her. The mother called police and they arrived to the location in about 30 minutes and they found the bear still eating her husband's body. Like I said, this area is known to have a lot of bears, so people usually bring protection with them, but it was said that Olga and her stepfather did not. Have you guys heard of this recent case of this stepmother who starved this 4-year-old child to the point where he passed away? If you guys want to skip this short video and watch the full story with all the details, make sure to go on my YouTube channel. I have the video there. 4-year-old Benjamin Cervera, also known as Benji, was a sweet, playful little boy who was living with his mother for the first 2.5 years of his life until his father gained full custody. A year later, Benji's father, Brandon Cervera, met this woman named Miranda Caceres. Miranda was a single mom and had a 3-year-old son from a previous relationship, but despite this, her relationship with Brandon moved really fast and she moved into his apartment only a few weeks after they met. Not long after she moved in, things got very toxic at home and a lot of the anger was put on little Benji. It was said that she would starve him, and when investigators came and looked inside the house, they saw locks on the kitchen cabinets and on the fridge. They also had cameras all over the house, especially inside the kitchen, to monitor Benji and make sure that he wasn't taking any food.
Eventually, it would get harder for him to do so as more locks were put on cabinets and the refrigerator.
Aside from that, Benji was also being hurt by Miranda and his father, apparently, and there are videos and photos of investigators going inside the home and seeing Benji with black eyes and bruises all over his body. Now, Benji's father also contributed to what was going on in the house. There's text messages between him and Miranda where he told Miranda to not feed Benji dinner. He was also aware of all the bruises and injuries on Benji's body, and according to Miranda, he was the one creating those bruises. There were also videos found on Miranda's phone of Benji crying and begging for food, and these videos were sent between Miranda and Brandon. There is so much evidence in this case, but Miranda was the only one who was convicted, and she was sentenced to 25 years in prison, and Benji's father was able to walk free. I was not expecting that at all, but again, if you guys want to watch the full thing with the details and the videos, make sure to head over to my YouTube channel.
That's messed up. The father should not have went free. If you was participating in that, man, and there was evidence, you gotta go down too. I told you, man, the system, bro. It's an ever ongoing battle.
The Sodder family is known for the mysterious and tragic disappearance of their 5 children on Christmas Eve in 1945. George and Jeannie Sodder, along with their 10 children, lived in Fayetteville, West Virginia. A fire broke out in their home in the early hours of December 25, 1945, completely destroying their home. While 5 of the children were initially thought to have perished in the blaze, no physical evidence of their remains were ever found. The circumstances surrounding the fire raised numerous questions, leading the Sodders to believe that their missing children may have been abducted. The family conducted their own investigation and never gave up hope of finding their children. But the mystery of the Sodder children's disappearance remains unsolved to this day. The case is considered to be one of the most endearing unsolved mysteries in American history.
Here are some morbid facts about your favorite Christmas movies. The Grinch as a kid was played by an 18-year-old actor with dwarfism. Sadly, he died of heart failure just 2 years after the movie released. Many of the indoor scenes in the movie Elf were shot inside an abandoned mental asylum in Canada called Riverview Hospital. All of the characters in Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas were inspired by hallucinations he had during a fever that nearly killed him. There's a convincing fan theory that suggests Kevin McAllister from Home Alone grew up to become the serial killer Jigsaw from the Saw movie franchise. South Park's Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh originated from when Trey Parker was potty training at age 4. His father told him if he didn't flush his Mr. Hanky, it would come to life and kill him in his sleep. While filming for The Grinch, the thick makeup and prosthetics made Jim Carrey feel like he was being buried alive every day. It became so brutal for him that they had to hire a former CIA agent to teach him techniques for coping with torture.
And he still went through with it?
Following me, and I can't tell what it is.
Brother, you're about to die. I'm just kidding, it's a fisher cat, which isn't actually a cat, and apparently they don't even fish because the naming guy had a stinker. Like the guy that named a not an eel an eel, or a not a shrimp a shrimp, and this not a badger but a honey badger. Speaking of honey badger, they pull up to the same family reunion, and as a mustelid, they're also related to otters and weasels. The fisher cat, not to be confused with the fishing cat that's also real, is basically a travel-sized Wolverine. And don't let the feral ferret fool you, they've been known to run fades with lynxes. And win. It's also proven that they'll past tense a porcupine and live to do it again. And yeah, they're a lot bigger than I thought they were. This is what one about to catch a body looks like. Brother, my guy, you are getting hunted. I'm just kidding again. He's just being curious. Say that, cuz if he was really on timing, you would not be seeing him. Might hear him though. If you've ever been in the woods and heard the sounds of a woman getting escorted off the census, chances are you just heard a fisher family. Or at least that's what I thought. Apparently fishers don't make that much noise in general, and the scream thing is probably a myth. And the more I know. Another myth is that they snatch children. While I'm sure someone in the history of mankind's gotten folded by a featherweight Wolverine, they usually avoid people, so you probably did something to deserve it. So yeah, the cameraman's in no danger, and that's not a fisher or a cat, but it's somehow both. But if the fisher's not a screamer, what is this?
It's an awful sound.
It's screaming.
So apparently we know of 69 different alien species.
These are cataloged 69 different species, different life forms. There's one species that at full adulthood is about 1.5 feet. There's another species that's 10 or 12 feet. The ones that people often refer to are around 3 to 4 feet, 39 inches or so tall. We have very good forensic drawings from men who've been on the retrieval teams of what these various species look like. The reason they keep coming back, number one, it's not a coincidence that the modern era of all this started when we started detonating atomic bombs. What Edward Teller and Oppenheimer didn't understand when they were developing that is that when you detonate an atomic bomb, you get, everybody knows about an electromagnetic pulse, the pulse that goes out, knocks out all electronic communication. What people didn't know about is there's also a pulse of what's called scalar energy. And scalar is faster than the speed of light.
You guys believe, man, aliens walk among us? Could be a possibility, man. Bro, we've never mapped out, I guess, space truly, so who are we to say, man, aliens don't exist? What the hell, that we already know 69 species? Threw my noggin for a loop.
you drive or know anybody that drives in the UK, you are screwed. I genuinely cannot believe what I'm seeing and how this is actually real. Make sure you share this video with someone that drives right now. Right, so we know there's speed cameras flipping everywhere on the UK roads, right? And only a year ago we had the whole talk about getting 100-mile-an-hour speed limits, and that's not happened yet. Now, of course, we know the typical speed cameras, average speed, ones that now detect your mobile phones, and now this. So these new cameras have been being spoken about for over a year, and now they are actually starting to be tested and rolled out, with the first person actually already being fined £100 and getting points. So what these cameras will do is detect noise from your loud vehicles, but not just that, because it will detect if you're listening to music too loudly as well. So you're cruising along in your car, if you have a fast car that's loud, you could get points. But if you're also just cruising along listening to your music and it's a bit too loud for them, they will be able to tell and you will get a point. Now, we don't know exactly how loud it has to be or how loud the car has to be, but God forbid you're driving a sports car listening to music extremely loud, you are cooked. Make sure you hit that follow button and I'll keep you updated.
Now,
Imagine
I
that in the
talked
US.
about one of the other Liverpool Giants in a previous video, the one where they lowered it down into the water. But this one is unique. This one eats. Just wait for the video. It is nauseating. Now, as you know, Liverpool had like a whole thing where they brought in like a bunch of marionettes. They had this guy come in on a boat. They walked him through the town of Liverpool, England, and look how massive it is compared to those people. Look how tiny this little person is compared. Oh God, I could not even be around these things. Watch this video and let me know how we're feeling.
Why did it make it so it could eat? It's too realistic for me. You brushing his teeth too, bro? What the? It's a damn robot. Oh, animatronic, like you said. You drink stuff too? Seriously, I'm like, they burning, bro. I think we know what this is supposed to represent. Is that Bigfoot? Or is that Cat? Tell him to come here? You crazy. I'm calling a cap on the last one. You saw what was in the door, right? tripping out. What the fuck? No face, what the f- Hell no. I'm out.
Hello? I can see you. Come out.
What the fuck?
Hello?
They don't know what to do. Hit the jets.
Don Ramon. This is a creepypasta about how far Don Ramon had to go to be able to feed his daughter. It goes like this. One night Don Ramon was trying to sleep but wasn't able to because he was hungry. He was also able to hear La Chilindrina grunting and crying. Due to her also being hungry, Don Ramon had enough and said to himself that he would find a job first thing first tomorrow to be able to feed his daughter. As morning came, he went to find a job. He applied everywhere. He came across a butchery shop and applied. They hired him immediately, due to short staff, and he was put to work. At the end of his shift, as he was about to wrap up and go home, he realized he wasn't going to get paid, nor be able to afford food. That's when he thought of stealing some of the meat that he butchered. He said to himself, no one's gonna notice. He went home and began cooking the meat. La Chilindrina was confused about the meat, but most importantly, she felt happy and began to imagine how it will taste. As Don Ramon was cooking the meat, he told her that she won't have to worry about food, that they will eat meat every day, and she will never starve at nights anymore. Don Ramon went happily to sleep and excited about his job tomorrow. As he arrived to work the next day, he noticed his boss waiting angrily at the door. His boss began screaming at Don Ramon, saying that he stole from him and that he was fired. Don Ramon tried apologizing and begging for a second chance, but his boss threatened to call the cops if he didn't leave. Don Ramon couldn't come home empty-handed, and especially after the promise he made to his daughter, he wandered on the streets and went home. As he was sitting on his kitchen table with no food, he heard knocking on his door. He knew who it was. Only one person knocks like that. It was El Señor Barriga. He was here for the rent. Don Ramon felt trapped. Everything was going bad for him. The knock kept getting louder and harder. That's when he opened the door with a knife. El Señor Barriga didn't have time to react. He was stabbed in his throat. Don Ramon took him to the kitchen as he slowly died. Don Ramon wasn't thinking. All he was thinking was about La Chilindrina starving. Don Ramon began butchering him. He began organizing the meats in bags and began cleaning before his daughter came home from school. He locked the kitchen door and began to cook. La Chilindrina came home and saw 2 delicious plates in the table. She rushed to her seat and began eating.
She ate that too? Oh, that's a very disturbing creepypasta. What the hell walked behind the box? Did we just see a door move? Is my mom playing tricks on me? What the fuck? Why was it trying to like hump his damn leg? I don't do dolls, y'all. For that exact reason. I'm telling y'all, man. Dolls be creeping me out, bro. 1 second, you don't see them. The next, they just staring at you, bro. They can be creepy vibes, man.
the scariest horror movies to watch on Netflix, but make sure you do it at your own risk. Now before we get into that, if you love all things horror, all things spooky just as much as I do, be sure to hit that follow button. Blood Red Sky follows a woman and her son who are on a transatlantic flight when a group of terrorists hijack it. So in order to protect her son, she must unleash a monstrous secret. And the secret is that she just so happens to be a vampire. So if you want you a bloody and gory vampire movie, check this one out. Viral follows two sisters who are separated from their father during an apocalyptic viral outbreak that leads to a quarantine. They're alone, they're in the fight for survival, and things get pretty damn chaotic. What are they up against? Worms. If you love you a good survival horror movie, you're definitely going to enjoy this one. Before I Wait follows foster parents who welcome an 8-year-old boy into their home. He tells them that he's afraid to fall asleep, but they think it's normal. However, their biological son who died, he appears in their living room, and the young boy who they welcomed into their home, he can dream up anything from his nightmares. They try to stop their new son's dangerous ability before it harms them all. This is from none other than Mike Flanagan. It's pretty damn underrated if you ask me. It's worth the watch. No One Gets Out Alive follows a woman from Mexico. She's desperate and she has no documentation. She moves into a rundown Cleveland boarding house. However, this was the worst decision she could make. That's because she hears unsettling cries and eerie visions start to begin. Now this movie knows how to build up the suspense, the tension. It's dark, it's creepy as hell. And the mystery is really damn good. I think you guys are gonna be surprised with this one. Don't Listen follows a man named Daniel whose son mysteriously dies at their new home. Daniel hears a ghostly plea for help, so he seeks a renowned paranormal expert in order to get answers. Let's just say he should have let these cries go unheard because things get pretty damn terrifying pretty damn quickly. This movie's gonna have you on the edge of your seat as well, so trust me, you definitely want to check this one out.
This is the most haunted place
Okay,
to the old
thanks for the list.
Naki Tunnel. According to the stories, if you find this, you will come across a sign that is supposed to warn the visitor with the following words. From here on out, Japanese law no longer applies. Enter at your own risk.
Not all jump scares are cheap, so here's some jump scares in horror movies that almost made me piss myself. First up is the dog scene from When Evil Lurks, and yes, you are anticipating this one, but it still does not take away from the fact that you are shocked that they actually show it. The scene in The Descent when they're using the night vision mode on the camera to like see where they're going, and we see the crawler for the first time, and he's just like standing behind her menacingly, terrifying. The blood test scene from The Thing. This is again another one that you're anticipating, but you're not expecting it to happen like in the middle of him talking. Perfectly timed. The scene in Lights Out when the girl is like flicking on the lights and off the lights and on the lights, and she sees the creature, but she's like thinking like, okay, that actually can't be something in the hallway, and then she turns off the light again and it like moves closer to her. When I literally went to go screen grab this scene and I knew it was happening, I still fucking jumped. Okay, not everybody liked Oddity, but you cannot deny that this scene when she's in the tent and she like unzips it and you think he's gonna be right there, but he's not, and she's like, whoo, and then his little face comes down in the corner. The way that I audibly screamed in the theater when this happened. And not a horror movie, but I'd be remiss if I did not mention this one, The Haunting of Hill House, when they're in the car and they're arguing and you are not anticipating any kind of jump scare, and then she jumps out and screams. Oh my god.
This film
Jump scares be getting you.
fucked up. And it's not a film you want to watch if you have kids. Because this movie is not afraid to go there. My name's Rookie, I like disturbing movies, and this is Baby Blues. The movie was released back in 2008. I've only just watched it, and it is a lot. As you can see from above my head, this is a film about a woman with a bunch of kids who is suffering an extreme case of postpartum depression. And without ruining or giving anything away, she focuses this anger, this sadness, this depression on her children in the most brutal way you can imagine. Now, often horror films claim to be quite disturbing, but when it comes to children, they don't usually go there. This is an entire movie about that. This entire film is them going there. Would I recommend this movie to somebody who is wanting to watch a horror film based on the craft of filmmaking? No. The acting isn't terrible, but it has a kind of made-for-TV kind of vibe to it. If you want to watch a movie that really goes there and is truly, truly shocking, then this is a movie for you. If you're a person who is sensitive to terrible things happening to young people, this isn't a movie for you. This
You're giving me anxiety.
Ain't for me.
Oh my god. You're kidding, right? You're kidding.
While checking out the room, a friend of Elsa suddenly feels a burning sensation on his back.
Wanting to ensure that he wasn't imagining this burning field, he lifts up his shirt to show his friends. But to their shock, they see what looks to be scratch marks running across his lower back. Elsa's friend swears that he hadn't scratched his back. Something in this room had done this.
You saw that, right? That's insane, man. Like a spirit was like clawing at him. What we waiting for? I see it like the side of the stairs. What the? I see that, right? It's literally trying to come down the stairs. Movement is so slow. I didn't see the croc. Did he just say come in? That's a crook. Be careful. Oh, man, they were that close.
It's 10:30 at night when an elementary school teacher in Washington is working late. The teacher is busy preparing his lesson for the next day when he spots something that gives him the creeps.
Alright,
check it out.
I'm just finishing up. Putting up decorations for the students when they get back. I was on the smart board, setting things up. I'm taking a step back, and you guys know me. I stay late often. It's just me here and the janitor. And let me show you.
Show us, man. Need is proof.
Do you see?
No. Oh, I see it now.
Is that not a kid sitting right there?
It is, man. If you're looking close right here, there's definitely something in that reflection. He's not tripping. I see it. Seen that Twilight Zone or something?
Classroom, but in the reflection of a screen, someone appears to be sitting in one of the desks. Someone about the size of a small child. The teacher later tries to capture the strange reflection on camera again, but whatever that was has now disappeared. But this story gets even weirder, because a janitor who works at the school says that he believes the eerie apparition is the ghost of a little girl who tragically passed away in an accident on school property.
I'm the person who does the cleaning here, and I saw the video the teacher has. I know that's the girl who died in an accident.
What is happening?
I wanted to respect their privacy, but they just put a girl in the back of the ambulance. And the dad was running, and the poor mom was crying her head off.
All through these videos, they're connected.
So could this mysterious figure be the spirit of the little girl returning to class from beyond? I leave that to you to decide.
Hey, that's to the seekers as well, man. Come up with your own explanations. That's a walk. Run, bro.
This is probably one of the most unintentionally hilarious videos of haunting I've ever seen. Because the way my man decides to handle this is just... mwah.
Okay.
Smashed, but I'm here at my girlfriend's house by myself. She always says it's haunted because it sounds like somebody is walking around upstairs. I've never heard it until now.
You hear that?
I always say it's not haunted because the house is a little old. But it legit sounds like there's somebody upstairs. I will swing on a ghost or if it's a person, I don't care.
Get your guards up.
Who's up there? Oh my God, they're like at the top of the stairs. Come down these stairs and I will swing on you, I promise.
What the? Okay, what the?
He warned that skinwalkers don't exist by going inside a forest allegedly full of these creatures, and it didn't end well. He started off by calling them in their native tongue. But nothing happened yet, except that he felt like he was being watched and heard some noises. But that's normal in the middle of the forest. So after seeing some poop, he decided it was time to use the death whistle to summon the creatures, which, as you may already know from my previous video, can be heard even from several hundred meters and can easily attract a skinwalker. After using it, he heard the rustling in the bushes again.
Well, I started to hear some rustling off in the bushes, so I decided to go investigate because, well, that was the only logical thing to do. But, you know, that's honestly maybe a little bit more concerning because I'm not really sure what animal's out here and I'm starting to feel like I'm being watched even more.
It seemed that his bravery had scared off the creatures, but to confirm they don't exist, he decided the next most logical thing to do was performing one last ritual before leaving. And after his video went viral, many people commented saying they saw Skinwalker's eyes staring at him in the background.
Pretty far out in this forest completely alone, and my gut's telling me to turn around, so I'm going to do exactly the opposite of what it says and do one of the most terrifying things I've ever done.
After watching it, let me know if you believe they are real.
Skinwalker, Skinwalker, Skinwalker. I'm bait for ya. Come and get me and prove that you're real. Unless you're a coward.
He performed it. That ain't it.
So my mother was showing me that she opened the banana, that she thinks that these are not real bananas. We got it from the supermarket, but when she opens it and she breaks it in half, it gets very tough and doesn't really break. And when it pulls, it's like it's glue. It's very tight and doughy.
They mess with the food.
They're magnet. They're like, I come here. They bring value to
Shit, no, we know they've been messing with the food. It's all rubbery. That ain't no freaking watermelon, man. And watching these clips together with you guys, man, I learned, bro, that bananas, they supposed to have seeds, you know, in the middle of them. I've noticed that a few times when I eat a banana.
Throughout the internet and shit, and it was about a jinn who had interrupted a conversation on live TV.
Oh, okay.
So, live show where people call in and basically just ask questions and stuff. But this specific show is a Muslim show.
So it's not related to no spiritual stuff or no like scary stuff.
It's mainly focused on Islam, Muslim
Okay.
beliefs and stuff. And people call in to speak to the sheikh.
Okay.
I don't really know how to pronounce it. And his name is Abu Muhammad. A woman calls. At first it's a regular like conversation and shit. But then stuff starts getting weird.
Allah's name on the left leg. Also,
On the edge right now. Let's keep watching.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا. Give her the power to continue her speech, Ya Allah.
is that one friend in my pillow?
Oh
Why
my
is it
God,
carry with
bro.
me?
Who created you and why?
Why she sound like that?
Huh?
She ended up saying that.
Baal? B-A-A-L? The fucking demon?
What they're saying that was a jinn, which it's not a demon, it's not an angel or anything like that. It's just another spirit that can choose whether it wants to be evil or whether it wants to be good.
That was some weird things on the phone. That's what we're saying. Can't ignore that.
Oh my fucking god, I swear to God, this thing just fucking looked at me. Oh my fuck.
Grandpa, can you hear me? Yeah.
Oh, crap.
God.
You need an umbrella? Are you okay?
What the?
Your makeup's running. Dogs are ready
It's
for
a
bed.
glitch in the Matrix.
Just a peaceful night here. Getting ready to go to bed myself. What the fuck is that? What? Oh, God!
Beneath the waves,
Too realistic.
ancient warriors sleep in silence. The ocean holds many secrets, and some refuse to be forgotten.
That's the MJ's alive conspiracy theory. What the? New fears? What is it? We saw that. Harris, what the It's like they got a ritual going on, man. Why is it circling in a grave?
Raylan? Raylan? What's happening with your...
Okay, broken doll. What the hell? Mom. Who drew that? You know it wasn't the damn doll. You knew that was dead at the end, man. Hello, gang. That's it, man, for the reaction video for you guys today. Seekers. All I'm asking for is for you guys to comment down below. Hit that thumbs up button, man. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next video. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.